Friends, at this time we are going to begin the funeral services. And just as a reminder, if you have a cell phone or a pager, I would ask for you to please take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. And officiating today's services will be Rabbi Toby Manawith. As we begin our service, the rabbi will lead the family in the tradition of Kriya. Thank you.
It's tradition in Jewish life that when we hear of someone's death, we rend our clothes. And thousands of years ago, the moment that someone heard, they would literally rip the garment that they were wearing. Now we feel a little bit more attached to our clothing, so we don't do that. But you've probably noticed, whether you've been to a Jewish funeral before or not, that people wear black ribbons. So what I'm going to do is walk over quietly to the closest relatives, and we're gonna rip their ribbons together. Then we'll come up here, back up here for a more public ceremony. Okay. I noticed as I was kneeling in front of all of the daughters that there was a little bit of conversation going on, and I said, "Are these the best girlfriends?" And you know what? It is. It's incredibly important and lovely that you're all here today. It is one of the most important in Hebrew mitzvot, or commandments, that you can do. And so I know that it means a great deal to the family that all of you who are gathered here are here today. Simply noticing that there are so many people here surrounding them is an amazing, amazing comfort. Death has taken our beloved. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there's loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. For Esona's love that united us in life, which death cannot sever. For her companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these, we give thanks. Adonai, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain, those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what way do not retract, who do not exploit others, who don't take bribes, those who live in this way shall never be shaken. We join together in the 23rd Psalm, which you'll find in it's on the back of your booklet. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He restoreth beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what has been planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silent and a time to speak. We're now going to hear words of several family members. My understanding is that Pam, Lori, and Joanne are going to speak first, and then the grandchildren are going to come up together, and that representatives will speak. So I invite the daughters up first to share some remembrances.
I often told anyone who would listen that my mom was my role model. I envied and admired the way she lived her life in so many ways. She was an intelligent woman, double promoted twice in elementary school, and she always had a love of learning. She met my father at Chicago Teachers College when she was still a teenager, and she knew he was the one. They married in 1946 when he returned from serving in World War II, and they had a warm and loving marriage until my dad passed away in 2008. She loved to travel with us kids, just with my dad, and also with their dear friends. She tried to keep her body and her mind active. And even as her body began to betray her in the last few years, she remained alert and inquisitive. She was in a book club for over 70 years, and even as her eyesight grew worse, she continued to read on a Kindle because we could make the font really big. She watched the news, took a current events class at Oakton College, and also played bridge for decades, in person when she could, then switching to online during the pandemic and when traveling to people's homes became too challenging. Even when she may have been sad, worried, or depressed, she always asked about others. While in the hospital, she would often shoo us away in the evening once her wonderful caregiver Modupe came, or Modupe's daughter Zainab, equally wonderful, by the way, telling us that we had been there too long and we should go home to our families. A couple of days before she died, Modupe was feeding her a little breakfast, and she looked at her and said, "What about you?" We heard a lot of "what about you" over the years. Have you eaten? Get yourself something to eat, even when she was sick in the hospital. Typical Jewish mother, except she wasn't typical at all. She was such a special lady, and we'll carry her in our hearts forever.
I feel like I'm saying the same words. What a special lady, one in a million. And my sisters and I were lucky to call her our mom. I could talk about her for hours, and that would barely touch on the phenomena she was. Mother of 3 daughters, grandmother to 8, and great-grandmother to 8 more girls. So close with her sister dear. Every single one of them adored her, and she them. Now a little bit about this incredible lady. She pioneered a study of people program in School District 68. She and her colleagues wrote a book about this program. As kids, we got to see it in the Library of Congress in DC. How cool is that? My mom was very cool, a lifetime learner, taking classes of world current events through her 90s, a volunteer to help battered women for years, enjoyed singing in a choir, book club, playing bridge, and traveling the world. Mom and Dad went everywhere on true adventures. Of course, being the youngest, I was able to join on a few more than my sisters, and we had so much fun. Then we all got married, had kids, and our families were fortunate to join on incredible vacations together, from the Dells, where we're not allowed anymore, to a cruise to Marco Island, the Bahamas, to Hawaii, just to name a few fabulous trips. My mom and dad instilled a love of family togetherness and fun like no other. No matter what else Mom was involved in, though, our family always came first. Mom was always there for us. She was my biggest fan, my Saturday night partner, and we spent every New Year's together for the last 15 years. My choice. She was so much fun. Mom never judged, and believe me, I tested her plenty. She loved and cared for others and was always there for each and every one of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She was truly my best friend. I could tell her any and everything, even things she didn't want to know. But I think deep down she kind of liked my escapades. I will miss her more than I can say, but I do find some peace in hoping that she's with my daddy again. They had a true love story. If any 2 people deserved a beautiful love, it was our mom and dad, and I'm glad our kids got to witness their true love and mutual respect. As Mom progressed with the times, my dad went with it, and Mom loved that. We will miss you, Mommy, and you will be with us every day of our lives. You blessed my lives and all of our lives forever.
Her given name was Esona. Only my dad and her sister called her that. Most others called her Sonny, a nickname that came to define her essence. I like to think that her friends gave her the name because of the radiating light and warmth she brought into every room she entered. The sun powers all life on Earth, and Sonny certainly powered ours. Her intelligence, caring, and common sense gave us the best foundation. She taught us to celebrate life's joys and to face each of life's challenges with dignity and grace. We all grew up surrounded in love and with a strong sense of family, as evidenced by Mom's last days. Each day she was surrounded by grandchildren, children, great-grandchildren, talking to her, holding her hand, massaging her feet, and reminiscing about her favorite memories. Watching her interact with her grandchildren over the years was a joy, always interested in their lives and gently assuring them that they would choose the right path for themselves. She made each one feel so special, as indeed they are. She taught us to treasure our times together, be it quiet afternoons, vacations together, holiday celebrations. Mom always made the matzo balls for holiday dinners. I made them this week. They were stunningly terrible. Mom, I promise I'll get better. She was lucky to have found in Dad the perfect mate and partner. They enjoyed the same activities, and Dad could always make her laugh. Sonny and Sal, two names that reflect the all-encompassing power of the sun. Sonny and Sal, a blinding powerhouse of love.
Thank you so much for your words. Now I am going to call on Lisa, Joshua, Amelia, Jessica, Elizabeth, Nicole, Julie, and Dan.
Grandma, no words could express what you mean to us, although we'll still try. You have had a profound impact on all of our lives, and your generosity, selflessness, and support are traits that shaped us and that we will always carry.
The nickname Sunny has always felt perfect for you. Your bright energy lit up a room and shone on us all, and you've been a guiding light throughout life's storms. You are always there, without question or judgment, loving us all unconditionally. The center of our universe, we've always orbited around you. And now we're faced with reframing our world, somehow continuing without its sun.
But you are within all of us, made us who we are, and will carry your light with us forever. You've been a lifelong role model, sculpting a family that seeks each other's company and takes comfort in being together. Your grace, intelligence, curiosity, humor, honesty, open-mindedness, and tenacity inspire us all. You purposely filled a life with lifelong friends travel, learning, inclusivity, and generosity. Our family is large, but every one of us has felt the light of your focused attention more times than we could count. You've touched and affected so many. How lucky are we that we were born into your orbit?
So we'll do our best to carry your legacy, tasting your love in every apple cake or spinach ball, creating opportunities to share the warmth and comfort of family, advocating for and representing those who are being silenced and hurt, even at the risk of peril. We will read books and go new places. We will cherish time together. We will look for solutions. We will make space and welcome new people and new ideas. We will apparently continue to have daughters and only daughters.
Grandpa died within hours of sundown on Yom Kippur, almost 15 years to the day from the death of our beloved. Grandma died within hours of sundown on Yom Kippur, almost 15 years to the day from the death of our beloved Grandpa Saul. To leave in these holy days is a sign that God inscribed her in the book of life, and she lived last year to its maximum, leaving us to start a new year with a new grateful perspective on life. Every moment with you has been a blessing, and we will forever see you in the lives you've given us. Sonny and Saul, two sons shining together now for eternity. We love you.
Your mothers told me yesterday that there was not much that gave your grandmother greater joy than the idea that you were also closely connected, as was certainly evidenced by your love for one another just standing here. It was palpable being so close to each of you. Sitting in the living room in their childhood home and talking about their mother, surrounded by Judaica, collectibles, and at least one table crowded with pictures of family, the word that Pam, Lori, and Joanne used most was love. Esona Goldberg was born on May 31st, 1925, into a loving home. She was an only child, and legend has it, the belle of the ball, until her younger sister Eunice was born 8.5 years later. She was, her family suggested, easy to raise, a rule follower. As her daughter said, she loved to learn and excelled at it. She skipped 2 grades. She was 17th out of a class of more than 300 at Sullivan High School, though she was younger than nearly everyone. She was a lifelong learner, as they said. Of course, one has to learn in order to teach, but even when she retired from teaching, she was still taking classes. She, as they said, when macular degeneration began to take her eyesight, her children got her a Kindle. She didn't care how long it took her to read the book. Sometimes it would take a day just to read a page, and she would persist and then read the next one. As they said, she loved following world's events, though recently, sometimes they upset her to the point that her children and grandchildren would tell her to please turn off MSNBC. Her family suggested that it was when she met Saul that her life really started. They had a beautiful love affair. They met at Teachers College, as her children said, and they were crazy about one another. When they were courting, they would hold hands and smooch, much to the chagrin of Eunice, who, at 9, thought the whole thing was positively disgusting. When Saul was drafted and sent to the Philippines as part of the Signal Corps, she pined over him and showed his pictures to everyone that would look. She filled her time working at Wilcox and Follett, which was just off the L on her way home from school. She also worked on the school newspaper. After marriage, Saul and Sonny taught in Chicago, she as a substitute teacher. They didn't have a phone in the apartment in the late 40s, so she had to go down to the drugstore and wait for the phone to ring there to see where she would be teaching for the day. Their first home together was in Hyde Park. Then they moved to the north side, then to Skokie in 1956. They raised their family there, and Sonny lived there for nearly 70 years. There were family dinners on weeknights and, of course, dinner every Friday. She had grown up Reform and Sal Orthodox, so they met in the middle. There was no pork chops in the house, but bacon was okay. The kids remember celebrating holidays and eating all of the traditional foods. It's very clear when you walk into the Wernick home that it was a Jewish home. She was very active in her children's lives. Pam, Lori, and Joanne recall that they took piano lessons and she came to all the recitals. She was president of the PTA and was so often occupied with school business that the family got a second phone line. Of course, when they were teenagers, they didn't mind that second phone line at all. She was a wonderful, loving mother. Her children's friends were always at the house on Latrobe. She welcomed them as family. As much as Sonny welcomed them, they loved being there. She didn't only tend to her children's friends, she had many long-lasting relationships of her own. The one that stands out most clearly is the 4 couples that called themselves the Cousins Club. The families remained close throughout their lives, though some moved away. They would visit each other and stay in each other's homes. Their children became lifelong friends. Sonny was the last surviving member of the Cousins Club. All the other children looked at her like a surrogate mother. And Esona had practiced being a surrogate mother. Her younger sister Eunice was only 34 when their mother died, and Sonny was her rock, carrying her through difficult times with wisdom and love. As the family said, she loved to travel. She and Sal traveled the world, always the last 2 weeks in August, because Sal taught summer school. There were family vacations when the grandchildren entered the scene, and again, she loved seeing all of you all together. The last family trip was in 2007, but she was determined to be at the last family wedding in the spring. Among all of their trips were 2 big adventures. They went to Russia and smuggled things that refuseniks, Jewish political prisoners, needed in the 70s. They were generally rule followers, so it was a little out of character for them, but they were brave and understood what was needed at the time. Their second big adventure was when they drove in a motorhome with Gary and Joanne all the way to Alaska. While they were away, Sonny flew home from Calgary to meet a new grandchild. She was not going to wait another several weeks to hold a grandchild or support a child. And when she knew that everything was okay, she flew back to meet the rest of the family in Canada. As they said, she sang in the community choir, she wrote a book, she volunteered. She was an avid bridge player. And sometimes, because of her age, if there was no one else to join in, the family would join in. As much as she loved bridge, she loved it more when her family was playing. One of her grandchildren mentioned that she died on Yom Kippur. In Jewish tradition, we say on Rosh Hashanah, on the New Year, that on Rosh Hashanah it's written, and on Yom Kippur it's sealed. When someone dies on Yom Kippur, what we say about them is that they were precious, that they were so precious and loving and righteous that even though their fate had been decided a year ago, that it was up to the last minute that they stayed with us because God and everyone understood their worth. What a wonderful gift it was for all of you. For some to have a friend for more than 90 years, for all of you to have a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother who was so full of love and caring and joy that it wasn't until the last minute that it was her time, that it was known that she needed to stay with you, and clearly, it's quite clear that you will follow in her footsteps and will take care of one another, right? We know that she and Saul were teachers, and there are at least 5 teachers in the family. And even if you're not teaching in a school setting, we know that you're all teaching each other about love and care and joy. We'll take a few moments now for your own silent reflections and memories. God, you give us loved ones and make them the strength of our life, the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us bereft on a lonely way, but you are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you, the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow-laden for consolation. O God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures as the soul endures, as you, O God, endure forever. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is the dwelling place of your love. I invite you to rise for the memorial prayer. El Malay Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamtzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Ashchina, Im Kiroshim Utihorim, Kizor Harakia, Masirim, Et Nishmat Esona Wernick Shehalcha La'olama, Bal Harachamim, Yastirenu Beseter Kanfav L'Olamim, Vayitror Bitror HaChayim Et Nishmatam, Adonai Hu Nachlata, Be'anuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavo, Benomar Amen. Compassionate God, Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Esona Wernick, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. You can be seated.
Friends, this concludes the services here at the chapel. The interment and burial services will continue at Memorial Park Cemetery here in Skokie. For those of you traveling with us to the cemetery and the funeral procession, please do keep the following safety precautions in mind. Please make sure that your bright headlights and your four-way hazard flashers are on at all times. Please be sure to obtain an orange funeral safety sticker for your windshield, and we will be providing several of the cars in the procession with a magnetic orange flag to be placed on top of your car. Please travel as close as safety permits to the car in front of you to avoid any gaps in our procession. And as we make our way through the intersections, if the car in front of you proceeds through the intersection, please proceed with caution. Feel free to use your horn liberally and make every effort to stay following the car in front of you to get to the cemetery. The family will be together for Shiva at the Wernick residence at 9406 Latrobe Avenue in Skokie today upon the return from the cemetery, Saturday from 6:30 until 9, and Sunday from 2 until 9 p.m. That information is in the service folder that you should have received when you came in. If you did not receive one when you came in, we do have those for you as you leave. The family has also requested that any memorial contributions in her memory be made to either the JUF, the Jewish United Fund, or to the charity of your choice. And that information, again, with the information regarding Shiva, is available in the service folder. And for those of you joining us online, that information is also available on our website. The following individuals have been asked to serve as pallbearers: Lisa Cox, Joshua Schlachter, Amelia Lerner, Jessica Lerner, Elizabeth Lerner, Nicole Fiddler, Julie Voitan, and Dan Ireland. At this time, I would ask everyone to please rise and stand in place for the pallbearers to come forward to my right as we escort the casket, the family, and the rabbi from the chapel.